Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into the world of athletic hormones, like always, with full honesty and, responsibility.
Absolutely.
We're looking at a compound many call, well, not the strongest steroid maybe, but one of the smartest, Proviron.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So the question is, how can something that's not really designed for huge muscle growth, how can it completely change the game, but in a really different strategic way?
Right. It's not about sheer power.
Exactly. And look, we're not here to tell you what to take or what not to take. That's not the point. Our mission is really just to help you understand. Before you form judgments or, heaven forbid, make decisions without knowing the facts.
Because awareness, that's key, more than any supplement.
Totally. Awareness and informed choices are way more valuable. Our insights today come from some pretty comprehensive research, digging into excerpts from the Abo Muscle podcast, which, does a good job explaining complex stuff clearly and responsibly.
Yeah, they try to break it down.
So get ready. This is kind of your journey to get some quick, but hopefully really thorough knowledge. We're aiming for those aha moments, without feeling buried in info.
Yeah, cutting through the noise, getting to the core of it, looking beyond just the surface level stuff.
Right. Understanding the subtle things, the levers that can make a big difference, not just the obvious ones.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. Proviron. What exactly is it? It's a name you hear thrown around a lot in fitness circles, right? But its actual nature, its unique spot. Well, that seems pretty misunderstood sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. And, what's interesting is Proviron, that's the trade name everyone knows, but scientifically it's Mesterolone.
Mesterolone, okay.
And it's actually been around a long time, like way back to 1934. Schering, the original German company, introduced it then.
Wow, 1934. That's older than a lot of compounds people talk about.
Definitely. And its chemical structure is pretty unique. It's derived directly from DHT, dihydrotestosterone.
Okay, so a DHT derivative, that tells you something right away.
It does.
Yeah.
And practically speaking, if you're thinking about detection times for tests, it usually hangs around for about 5 to 6 weeks.
5 to 6 weeks, got it.
And just for context, it's anabolic to androgenic ratio. It's kind of different. It's about 100 to 150 on the anabolic side, but only 30 to 40 for androgenic effects.
So less androgenic relative to its anabolic rating compared to, say, straight testosterone.
Sort of, yeah. The ratio itself hints that it works a bit differently right from the get-go.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, right? This is where that smart reputation starts to make sense. Proviron isn't like testosterone or DECA, the big hitters known for raw muscle building.
Right, not a mass monster.
Its strength isn't packing on pounds. So if it's not directly building loads of muscle, what does it actually do? How does it enhance other things or maybe your body's own stuff instead of just being a builder on its own? This is the clever part, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And if we connect that, Proviron's uniqueness, it really shines through in 4 distinct, really strategic functions. And like you said, it's not about brute force. It's about optimizing your body's hormonal environment.
Okay, optimizing. I like that. What's the first one?
First, and this is a huge one, a massive differentiator, it binds really, really strongly to SHBG. That's sex hormone binding globulin.
Okay, hold on. SHBG. For anyone listening who maybe isn't totally sure or just needs a quick refresher, what is SHBG and why is Proviron binding to it so strongly? Why is that such a big deal?
Good question. So think of SHBG as kind of like a hormone taxi or maybe a hormone bouncer in your blood. Its job is to latch onto sex hormones like your testosterone and other steroids floating around.
Okay.
But when SHBG binds to them, those hormones become inactive. They're basically sidelined. They can't interact with the receptors, can't do their job.
So it locks them up.
Pretty much. Now, Proviron comes along, and it loves binding to SHBG. It has a super high affinity for it. So it essentially jumps in and binds up the SHBG itself.
Oh, I see. It distracts the bouncer.
Exactly. It distracts the bouncer. So what happens? More of your own natural testosterone and any other helpful compounds you might be using, they stay free, unbound, active.
So they can actually work.
Right. They can circulate freely, hit their target tissues, and do what they're supposed to do. And this isn't just a tiny effect. It's like unlocking the potential of the hormones you already have or making other compounds you might add way more effective, maybe without even needing higher doses of those. It's leverage, real leverage.
Wow. Okay. So it's not adding more fuel, like you said, but it's making the fuel you have burn way more efficiently. That is genuinely clever. It frees up the good stuff. What's the second function then?
Precisely. You got it. The second function is its partial inhibition of estrogen conversion. Proviron binds to the aromatase enzyme.
Aromatase, that's the enzyme that turns testosterone into estrogen, right?
Exactly. Think of that enzyme like a little conversion factory in your body. Its job is turning some of your testosterone into estrogen. Proviron comes along and binds to that enzyme, essentially slowing down the factory or like partially jamming the works.
Okay, so less testosterone gets turned into estrogen. What's the benefit there for, physique goals?
Well, the practical benefit is pretty significant. You get a decrease in unwanted water retention,
Yeah.
which can make you look puffy, and importantly, a reduced risk of gynecomastia, the development of breast tissue in guys.
Right, gyno. Yeah.
So it helps you maintain a drier, harder look, which is
Yes.
really valuable, especially when you're trying to get lean, like in a cutting phase.
That sounds like a big plus, managing those common side effects. Now, you said partial inhibition. Does that mean it's maybe gentler than a full-on aromatase inhibitor like Arimidex or something? Or just a different mechanism?
It's more like a different and, yeah, generally gentler mechanism. It's
Yeah.
not designed to crash your estrogen levels like a dedicated AI might if used too aggressively. Proviron just partially reduces the conversion. It works more subtly, kind of helping maintain a better testosterone to estrogen balance,
Okay.
which often means you avoid the side effects of having too low estrogen, because you do need some estrogen,
Yeah.
while still getting those benefits of less water and lower gyno risk.
Makes sense. Bit more balance.
Yeah.
Okay, function number 3.
Number 3 is its strong binding to the androgen receptors themselves. These receptors are like specific docking stations on your muscle cells and fat cells.
Right.
When androgens, like testosterone or DHT, bind to them, they trigger effects. Proviron binds strongly, and this helps stimulate fat burning. It also significantly increases muscle hardness and vascularity. That's really noticeable during cutting phases. You get that lean, defined, almost shrink-wrapped look. It helps you look really dense and hard.
So sculpting and defining, not just building raw size. That's a key difference. Got it. And the 4th function, I heard this one's kind of surprising.
It really is, yeah. The 4th one, and this is genuinely unique and stands out, Proviron does not inhibit spermatogenesis, sperm production.
Wait, really? It doesn't shut down sperm production?
Nope, it's highly unusual. Almost all other anabolic steroids, they suppress your natural testosterone and sperm production as a side effect. Proviron, on the other hand, can actually enhance male fertility in some cases.
Wow. That is surprising for something in this category. It kind of goes against the grain.
It definitely does. It often raises eyebrows when people first learn that.
Okay, fascinating. Now let's talk safety for a sec. Lots of oral steroids, they have this reputation, right, for being tough on the liver. But Proviron seems different. What's special about its structure that gives it a safer profile there? Is that another smart part of its design?
That's a really important point, the liver safety. And yes, absolutely, it points to another smart aspect. Unlike most oral steroids people talk about, Proviron has this unique structural thing. It is not C17 alpha alkylated.
C17 alpha alkylated. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
So think of C17 alpha alkylation, or C17A, as a specific chemical tweak. They add a methyl group at a certain position on the steroid molecule. This tweak helps the steroid survive its first trip through your liver after you swallow it. It makes it orally active.
Okay, so it can work when taken as a pill.
Right. But that modification, the C17A, that's what often puts a big strain on the liver. It can lead to liver toxicity, elevated liver enzymes, all that stuff.
Right, the dreaded liver issues.
Exactly. Proviron doesn't have that C17 alkylation, so it kind of bypasses that typical liver strain pathway. It does not cause that kind of liver toxicity.
So fundamentally safer for the liver compared to many other orals.
Remarkably safer, yeah, for the liver specifically. It does have a methyl group added somewhere else, a carbon 1, which gives it some protection from being broken down too quickly by the liver, helping it be orally effective, although its oral bioavailability is still relatively low compared to C17 steroids. But the key takeaway is it avoids that main C17 liver toxicity issue, making it very safe in that specific regard.
Okay, that's a huge plus, a really significant difference. So with all these unique things, the SHBG binding, the partial estrogen control, the hardness effect, the lack of sperm suppression, and now the liver safety, what does this mean for how it's actually used, in the real world, medically, and then in fitness or sports?
Okay, so medically, Proviron definitely has its place. It's mainly used to treat androgen deficiency in men, especially older guys whose natural testosterone levels might be dropping.
Right, like TRT, but maybe a different approach.
Sort of, yeah. It can help manage symptoms of low T. And like we touched on, it's also used quite effectively to treat male infertility because it can improve sperm count and quality. And sometimes Though less commonly, it's used in prepubescent boys in very specific situations to help kickstart sexual development.
Gotcha. Now, what about the athletic side?
Athletically, and we need to keep stressing this,
Hmm.
is not for just bulking up, gaining huge mass. You won't see someone putting on 20 pounds just from Proviron.
Right, not its job.
Its main role, where it really shines, is in cutting cycles. That's where it helps achieve that dry, hard, vascular, lean look, reducing water, increasing muscle density.
And you mentioned breaking plateaus earlier. How does that work? People hit those walls where progress just stops. How does Proviron help there?
Yeah, plateaus are frustrating. It often happens because maybe your body's adapted or maybe your free hormone levels aren't quite optimal anymore because Proviron binds SHBG, freeing up more active testosterone and other compounds, and because it boosts androgen receptor sensitivity. Well, it can give you that subtle but noticeable push.
It just makes everything work a bit better again.
Exactly. It helps you push past that sticking point.
Mhm.
It's not about just adding more raw power. It's making what's there work smarter. And it's also often added with other steroids to boost their overall effectiveness, especially if someone's trying to keep their testosterone dose lower, maybe to manage side effects. Proviron lets them get more bang for their buck from the other compounds.
Makes sense. Enhancing the stack. Okay, but every compound, especially powerful ones, has potential downsides. We have to talk about side effects. What do people need to be aware of with Proviron?
Absolutely crucial. Understanding the risks is paramount. So first, estrogenic effects. Good news here, Proviron does not convert to estrogen.
Okay, so no direct gyno or water retention from Proviron itself?
Correct. In fact, like we said, it acts as a mild anti-estrogen. It helps to reduce those things. But it's not a powerful enough anti-estrogen to replace a dedicated one if you're using other compounds that aromatize heavily.
Gotcha. Mild help, not a full solution if needed.
Right. Now, androgenic side effects. Because it's derived from DHT, yes, these can happen. These are the typical DHT things, maybe acne, accelerated hair loss, but mostly if you're already genetically predisposed to male pattern baldness.
So if baldness runs in your family, this might speed it up.
It could, yeah.
Oh.
That's a definite risk factor. And maybe increased body hair growth.
Okay, standard androgenic stuff. And you mentioned a really strong warning for women earlier, worth repeating.
Absolutely. Cannot stress this enough. Proviron is not recommended for women. Full stop. The risk of virilization developing male characteristics is extremely high, and these effects can often be irreversible.
Like what kind of effects?
We're talking about things like deepening of the voice, clitoral enlargement, more body hair in male patterns, things women typically don't want. It's just not suitable for female physiology due to its potent androgenic nature, a really important warning.
Okay, very clear, not for women. What about other areas? Cardiovascular, cholesterol.
Yes, that's another key area. Proviron can negatively impact cholesterol levels. Specifically, it tends to raise LDL, the bad cholesterol, and lower HDL, the good cholesterol.
Not a good combination.
Not at all. So this means if you already have cholesterol issues or maybe you family history of heart problems, you absolutely should not use it. It's just not worth the risk.
And if someone were to consider it, despite not having prior issues,
Even then, managing risk is vital. That means being really disciplined with a diet low in saturated fats, probably supplementing with things like fish oil, omega-3s, and definitely doing regular cardiovascular exercise. These are essential to try and mitigate those negative cholesterol shifts.
okay, so heart health is a major consideration. You really need to have your cardiovascular health in check and be proactive.
Incredibly important. Your long-term health.
Yeah.
You can't mess with that. And then finally, fertility and testosterone suppression.
Right, you said it doesn't suppress sperm, but what about overall testosterone?
So compared to many other steroids, Proviron itself causes minimal testosterone suppression, especially at lower ranges. And yes, technically, it can sometimes be used without adding external testosterone, maybe in very specific limited scenarios, just for its unique effects like SHBG binding or hardness.
But that sounds like an exception, not the rule.
Definitely an exception. Generally, when used in a cycle with other compounds that do suppress you, you'll still need supportive testosterone to avoid shutting down your natural production completely.
Okay, so it usually needs T support in a typical stack.
Usually, yes. And let me be crystal clear. After any cycle involving Proviron along with other suppressive compounds, post-cycle therapy PCT is an absolute must, non-negotiable.
Why is PCT so critical?
It's crucial to help your body kickstart its own natural hormone production again, faster. Restore balance. You don't want to be left with crashed hormone levels after a cycle. PCT helps speed up that recovery.
Got it. PCT is essential for recovery. So knowing all that, the effects, the risks, how does Proviron typically fit into a plan? Like, how is it actually used in fitness routines to get those specific benefits?
Right, putting it all together. Its main home, as we've said, is definitely cutting cycles. That's where it's most effective.
Makes sense for that hard, dry look.
Exactly. It's often stacked or used alongside compounds like Anavar, Masteron, Primobolan, maybe Winstrol. The goal is always that dry, hard, vascular appearance. And its androgen receptor binding helps with the fat-burning side of things, too, during a cut.
And bulking. You said not really for mass.
Yeah, much less useful for just building sheer size. But it can have a niche role maybe to break through one of those stubborn plateaus we talked about.
Great, get things moving again.
Or as a supportive agent if someone's deliberately keeping their testosterone dose low in a bulk, maybe for side effect management. Proviron can help enhance the effects of the other compounds they're using.
Okay. And how long do people typically run it in a cycle?
Generally, durations usually fall somewhere between, say, 6 weeks on the shorter end, up to maybe 12 weeks.
6 to 12 weeks, gotcha. Okay, one last practical area. Availability. Is this stuff easy to find? And is it, generally legit when you do find it?
Availability
Yeah.
is actually quite widely available, especially across Europe.
Okay.
And what's somewhat reassuring, maybe compared to other compounds, is that Proviron is reportedly rarely counterfeited.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Less fakes out there.
Yeah, seems to be the case, which suggests a pretty decent level of authenticity in the market for Proviron, generally speaking. Price-wise, it's also usually on the lower end compared to a lot of other steroids.
Cheaper and less likely to be fake sounds appealing to some, I guess.
It can seem that way, but, and this is critical, you have to remember the legal status. That varies massively. For example, in the U.S., it's a prescription drug. You can't legally get it without one.
Right. Legal status is always a huge factor.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've really dug deep into Proviron, moved past the surface, understood its unique tricks, its applications, and the really important considerations. It seems absolutely clear, like you said at the start, it's not about raw power. It's about strategic, smart use, using hormonal leverage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the core message. Proviron, yeah, it might offer fewer harms in some areas like the liver, and it definitely has unique benefits. But that's only true if you really understand it. Understand its specific strategic role, if you know why you'd use it and how it fits.
Knowledge is key.
It is. Your health. Well, there's no substitute for that, is there? Knowledge and power, absolutely. But misusing that knowledge or acting without it, well, that could destroy everything. You've got to do the right thing. Think smart, act responsibly.